Patamba Songjis and also said, I never see a single Tibetan practitioner who thinks about dying. Not have I never seen one life forever. And even though someone's practice Dharma, and they tame in mind surely with 4 reminders, but this is like kind of just studying. And this kind of Dharma practitioners is really honestly not studying. And we call the like mouth Dharma. And not like a really serious taking the meaning of the Dharma. And studying Dharma of the impermanent, the explanation of the impermanent, talking a lot, all the timers, and maybe it's seeing, hearing, talking, but they're thinking about never to die. And of course, and it's like there's nobody can see one live for. One is like alive forever. This is the truth. If you're really true Dharma practitioners, it is very, very important. It's to prepare the authentic Dharma. And the authentic Dharma also authentically, whatever it says in the Dharma teachings, it is very important to bring into our minds. Once we realize that the impermanent, or we receive the education of the impermanent, and we understood, even if our own all the wealth in the world, or the maybe is our wealth is like a same echo of the word. But when we are like in the moment of the impermanent, it says we cannot take anything. When is the departure is to be ready. And at that moment, and our own real the position, wealth is Dharma. And in the book says the material things in that moment, we cannot take even the needles, threatens, nothing. But if we have good education of Dharma and the explanation, the next life journey, maybe through the Dharma we have good imagination or image of the map, how to go through in the next road. And also it's like where we can to rest, and how long, how like kind of to be each moment to practice or to be realized to nature of the realities. Therefore, Dharma is the well-being, protectors, the source of the refugee, and also it's like resting into the pause, rest place, or the Iceland, and a good friend, it is Dharma. And therefore, we need to learn great luminosity of the authentic Dharma. When we are traveling into the next road, there's not much light, there's not much luminosity, such a darkness, foggy. And in this perspective, we need a strong light, luminosity. It is the best. Luminosity is the teaching of the Dharma. Best torch, best luminosities. And so from right now, we need to prepare. We need to practice. Whatever receive the teaching of the Dharma, and that can help to us the moment of the death. And therefore, it is very important to study right now. Regardless which kind of different type of the Dharma. Of course, such a teaching is there's different levels. And generally speaking, we have 3 types of the vehicles. Beings of the lesser capacity, maybe it's just to recognize the 3 lower realms as suffering. They want to run from these 3 lower realms. Hungry ghosts like hell realms, hunger ghosts, animal realms. Striving for the rebirth in the high 3 realms, and like kind of the God, human demigods. And they are unaccomplished. 3 type of the merit, but though they may accomplish the institution in a preparation for the death, according to their own and lesser beings' traditions. And they are like kind of the direct meditate a lot on the karma budding, calm and budding, shini. And also practice karma budding. Of course, their tradition, there is characteristics meditation, non-characteristic meditations. Not very much enhanced by the supreme thoughts of the compassions. And a little bit interest to reborn in the higher 3 realms. Fully they have renunciation, hesitation, and understood the suffering of the lower realms. And also it's like according that basically follow up the like Buddha's steps, based rely on the renunciation, run away from the samsara, particularly in the lower realms. Concerning they want to be quickly peace, enlightened, it's to be called the arhat. Of course, if they become the perfect arhat, but they want to be arhat. The arhat means someone's practiced the authentic Dharma. Finally, they eradicated, scattered of their own disturbing emotions and their mind is become very peace, and no, there is kind of the discursive, not more thoughts. They do through accumulation merit. They do study the true self-existence of the phenomena, self-existence of the self. And also they purified the true obscurations, principally obscuration of the defilement. And they want to reach in the enlightenment. And there is a kind of the 4 steps: return, and once return, or at the beginning to enter into this state, then return, once return, and no, never return. They say it's the 4th step of the achievement. But maybe not much practice authentic thoughts of the bodhicitta. According that, it's difficult to do the completion of the true accumulation of merit and wisdoms. If we cannot do perfectly true accumulation merit, and it is difficult to purify the true obscurations. And particularly, we cannot do the accumulation of the wisdoms. Difficult to realize that the self-existence of the phenomena. According that, difficult to purify the obscuration of the cognitive. And in this perspective, difficult to become the perfect arhat. Maybe they become the non-returner arhat, to stay a kind of they achieve the statement, higher statement, and to be in the some no statement of the disturbing emotions, but there is not really disturbing emotions, but there is a kind of the subtle disturbing emotions. They haven't got really contaminated activities, but there is contaminated some activities. There's no contaminated activities, there's some subtle incontaminated. Looks like contaminated. But you can't say the no exhaustion of the I think there's no contaminated activities. And maybe they can to be enlightenment. 18 eons. That is the result of the meditation, applied the path. Maybe they can achieve the 8 bhumis. More than that is maybe not. 7 bhumis. But then it's afterward they need to return. They receive the great luminosity from the perfect Buddhas. These luminosities carrying the message to say, fortunate, you would be in this state 80 eons. But that is not really perfect Buddhahood. Now you need to apply your perfect Buddhahood. Then they return to in the humans. Maybe, I don't know, someplace. They need to apply real liberation path. but sometimes they have very strange habit, difficult to practice compassion, and difficult to give up self-concerning. They lack kind of like a strange horse. Some strange horse, when you're a racing horse, they never go direct. All the times in the middle, they want to different way. You're almost difficult to correct. But this is like kind of lesser preparation for the impermanent. And then there is the being of the middling capacities. And such, there are more intelligent, more skillful, more understander. And then they have more capacity. And on the other hand, they recognize that three words of the samsara. Three words of the samsara, the word of the desire alamas, the word of form alamas, the word of the formless alamas, are the suffering. They want to free completely from the six alamas of the samsara. And they discussed about the liberation and for themselves alone, and then they recognize, of course, through the other sentient beings, renounce the world, accordingly practice the precious threefold training of the supreme path. Threefold training of the supreme path. Supreme path, supreme folder. First, the application. Supreme, which is the bodhicitta. And supreme methods. And also it's like precious in the middle, non-conceptualization, and the end, precious methods, great methods of the dedications. And of course, and they may accomplish whatever they received, their own individual spiritual friends, what they give the pit instructions. They kind of through this the preparation of for their own impermanent death. It is kind of the middlings. Of course, they have and understood they like kind of the three methods. Maybe a little bit kind of there is made maybe mistakes. Maybe this is the first one is like a more ordinary Dharma practitioners. They have discussed or renunciation for the lower elements of the three, hell, hungry ghosts like animals. Secondly, they want to be reborn in the higher elements of the human god, demigod. But maybe I say this maybe connect to some arhats, but this is not really connect to the arhat. Just like ordinary Dharma practitioners, maybe we a little bit need to connect it, correct it. And that is like a more interest self, but they do not realize that like a three-folder of the samsara, it is like kind of the discusser for the sufferings. Only interest to reborn humans, God, and that. And also this in perspective, they have such a faith, devotion to the causalities. They understood the inevitable of the causalities, and then they are practiced more in the causalities, preparing for the impermanent death, and understood in the next like kind of the rebirth. They want to be human or the God, almost demigod. And maybe it's not very much demigod, but the God and humans. And then the second one is maybe is connected to the arhats, so on. Maybe it's a practitioner of the Shavaka Pachika Buddhas. And it is preparing for their death. They want to become enlightenment. And they want to become in the in the state of the no disturbing emotions, and that you need to correct. Okay, maybe I made a little mistake. And they are in the middling one, stay in the 80 years in the state of the meditative concentrations. And then after they received then Buddha's enlightenment, the message, the Shavakas, they need to return. And then it's like to be enlightenment. And the middlings, the preparations. They being in the great capacity, have the attitude of the bodhicitta. Then the third one is the great bodhicitta, a bodhisattvas. And they are great capacity, means it's like they generate bodhicitta concerning all the sentient beings, and to think about the liberation from the samsara, to be the perfect Buddha, and to practice the institution absolutely, and in this their own master spirit institution, and conduct or the activity they accomplish perfectly. The six transcendent, and then this is the most great vehicles, and they can to purify it, and they can to do the accumulation merit, they can to purify the two obscurations, and they can to to reach the true level of the kayas. They're such as like this. They kind of in this level they prepared for the impermanent of the death, and like this. And then there's such a kind of the higher set preparations. If we want to practice, particularly the perfection teachings, and it is the Mantrayanas, preparations of the death. And also it's like we call the radiant great perfections, and very much direct, and also how you can to immediately to realize that the sameness, how you can to bring into the path primordial wisdom, and how you can to control economically all your appearances of the appearances, good and bad. And then this kind of perspective maybe is like before you are death, and you birth and death and become the unifications. And through these unifications, you do the unificationally to accumulations, and then almost sort of doing nothing, but done everything. And maybe it's like instantaneously, maybe purification of the two obscurations, and instantaneously, maybe you can to reach the great two level of the kayas. And also it's like this kind of the point of view. Of course, maybe they kind of preparated their own like mind, become the super perfect and the receptacles in order to receive this radiant great perfection teachings. And also maybe this kind of fortunate student practitioners, also to meet the great qualified teacher, same as the Buddha, such has experienced their own true nature of the realities, and easily to give the introduction of the nature realities. And if this kind of the preparation for the impermanent is the marvelous, great, perfect, and it's a like kind of this is needed, then of course we receive all this kind of different type of the level of the teachings, but we never bring into our mind, we never mixed our mind, we never practice really serious by our minds. And then it's like become the hypocritical practitioners, and Dharma and our mind is never mixed. Then it's Dharma's how it can to help to the impermanent, like kind of the judging by their really for the amazing wealth. Once they done the yellow robe, I wonder, are they going to pay of the death in food and money? Maybe it's like wearing the monk clothes, yellow robes, monastic robes, looks like practitioners, carrying the malas, carrying the books, talking about Dharma in like impermanent, but they are more and more clinging to their own positions. Their own and more collect whatever they got, and very much stinginess, not doing the generosities, very sensitivities, and this kind of the collectors of the electronic gadgets. And he said, maybe this person's going to give some under table, to give some electronic gadgets to the army of the Yamantakas. And to say, please give me free from the death. But I think it's impossible. This is kind of the teasing to the monks, nuns, practitioners. Maybe also it's like ourselves is become like this. Maybe it's not very good to think about the impermanent as much as we can to do the generosities. And it's like very, very important. And it's when you go to in the city, whoever's begging to the money, you just give 1 cent. Why not? And if this person's not happy, you can to respect the stories. And of course, sometimes difficult to bear that. Once I was in the shopping center, there is one, it's like, I don't know, some ladies carry baby and say, oh, you're a Buddhist monk, give me monies. And then I have there is in my pocket 200 Benjamin franc. And that one is about 200 Benjamin franc. It's okay. And I give it, and she says, what I need to do like this? You are a Buddhist monk. And give me more. Angry. And this guy is, temperatures. No, why I need to give you? Go away. But this is horrible. It's the reality, I'm bad. Of course, this begging is begging. Good, if you have more, give. Maybe she give me 2 kind of the chance. If I'm practice generosity, and at the same time she provoke me to have discipline, don't say nothing, say sorry, I haven't got more than that. And a little respect, their discipline, patient, gentle, and also maybe you can to kindness. But it's the first, it's like kind of artificially did, the second is lost. And this kind of, why not? Others is angry. It is like needed. We need it, absolutely. Sometimes we say, someone's begging, don't give. Why? And he immediately, she buy the alcohol, doing such things. Doesn't matter. And we need to object this kind of like generosities. And immediately, whatever we give, go to buy the cigarettes or the alcohol, do it. And yourself, this is your responsibilities. You anyway begging the money or something, food, we offered, this is our sincere generosity, happily. And also we need to say thank you, because in that moment we are doing the accumulation merit. If there's no beggars, no bodies to beg to ours, there's no object, how we can to do the accumulation merit? And in this perspective, maybe sometimes to take care of even the bread, sometimes we throw out a lot, sometimes very much kind of the stingy. If we can to keep, bring into the forest, maybe one piece of the bread to give the birds, insects, any kind of great generosities. As much as to try, of course, and completely to do the virtue accumulation is impossible. On the other hand, we're doing also the negative things, but we need to do also positive things. Specifically, sometimes do the positive, very huge way, I think is very difficult. But tiny, we start very tiny, very much tiny to do it, to do the positive things, accumulation, generosity. Do, why not? And also to have discipline, self-discipline. I'm repeated this American lady, she says, I'm a follower of the Buddhas. I cannot to keep all the what he gave to us disciplined, but at least one, I don't want to eat meat. It's a wonderful, this kind of to have attitude, this kind of, it's like kind of fantastic. Someone says like, I want to taking care, it's like maybe it's like a rubbish bin, because it's like for the benefit for the sentient beings. If one person's to taking care rubbish bin, maybe it is like kind of not much make it different in this world. Everybody needs it, but one person's also to contribute like this is a great person, great beings. And also we can to say, I need to a little bit correct myself, to change, be kind, to like kind of the cheerful mind, to be more like kind of the, show the human good qualities. Maybe it came to imitating to me. For example, sometimes we say, and in Tibet peoples going to in India and Nepal. Then you go to in the middle of this in Tibet, in India's young Tibetan people, Nepal young Tibetan peoples. They imitating it is like American, some ugly guys, like fucking my cards and she says my ass of my office. This kind of, and then they translated into the Tibet, and then it's like they say, oh my God, this is the first time it's completely shocked, embarrassed. How you can to say like this? In Tibet, it's never ever say this kind of ugly things. Of course, there are some idiot ugly things, but never this kind of using your secret, these things and ugly things. And then they translate, and then you can to influence. They slowly, they're like this. Some is new people coming to in India and Nepal. Few years after, also they're using like exactly them, something like that. And in this, like this kind of perspective, some is someone's born India and Nepal. They're very good. They never used. Maybe it's not good. Even the families, even the like this, even the Europe we can to say. Some families, they never use this dirty word. And it's like this, if you go to in America, some alcoholic, some drug addict, some is like kind of the hippies. Each sentence, each word there is a fantastic word. It is like each word, even if they call that you can call direct your cup to the wonderful, the wood they added, my cup is bring back me. Not necessarily, but if you go to the more high education, high laws, they say they are very gentle, they are very kindness, they showing the human qualities. It's fantastic. Someone is like a kind of, there's not much human quality, very aggressive, showing very strange, and very much bossy, very much, and like a kind of curiosities, what is others doing, and never to connect, to correct to themselves. They never showing to any good quality to others, that is not really Dharma practitioners. And it's not really fantastic. And maybe now we are preparing for the impermanent. Maybe it's the Mahayana's way to prepare. Maybe it's the Vajrayana's way to each moment to correct the unthinking defects, imitating to the Buddha and Bodhisattvas, every day to make the notes, how much am I to become the good person, how much I changed by my body movement, how much I changed my verb movement, how much I changed the mental movement, and this is necessary, and like this. But otherwise, we are like kind of those collector of the electronic the gadgets, collector of the material things, wearing robe, the yellow robe. This is not maybe fantastic. Then is we call the hypocritical practitioners. It is like nothing. There is one Tapo Rinpoche, I don't know, one teacher says, if you Dharma use correctly, if you do not use Dharma incorrectly, even the Dharmas make the rebirth of the lower realms. And therefore, it is like for ourselves, maybe our communities, when we practice Dharma more and more gentle, more and more kind, more and more like a kind of the showing to the others good things, and it's like kind of the all the times correct our own secret defects. Oh, very much. We love you very much. We won't take care. We respect to you, and we appreciate very much. We want to say thank you to you. It's maybe 20, 30 years to study and Dharma, and more and like it complicate, more and more difficult, more and more aggressive and strange, showing to the others ugly things. And what? It is just useless. And like this, it really is like, it's like I'm often to say in Russian, and of course our Russia Sanghas, they're more than here. And I'm says, I'm your family. I'm reborn in your families. And it's like whatever you do and whatever like kind of you try to kick out, I'm coming back. And you kick out, I'm coming back, I will not knock your door. When you kick out, I will come back in the front of your door to knock into. And it's like in this perspective, I'm begging to you. And I'm says like, I'm never says you need to become same as me. Never, ever. Ugly like a kind of me. You need to more better than me. And these times when we are big families, you ask to me, can you say something? How we can to study Dharmas? Okay, I'm just to give you suggestions. But if you change, if you become the enlightenment, if you become the so superiors, someone says like your Sangha inside is one person so wonderful, how much give me in the present? How much I'm happy. I'm almost a tear is coming. But it's like someone's like more worse and worse, very much aggressive, very much kind of the, it's like kind of the movement characteristics. It's like how do you say, it's like a tone, do you know? This, how do you say in French? Thorn. Tone. Huh? There's a thorn bush. It's a tree. Thorn bush. Bush is like some. Like rose. Most time rose trees is like this. Okay, thorn. I think Americans, English, they put between there's W, but maybe not. And thorn bush, not George Bush, bush. It is a part of the trees. There is a trees. If we become the like kind of behaviors become like this, then it's a very sad, you know. If your clothes comes and they take away, you touch your fingers problems. There's sometimes some this thorn bush making the fruits flowered, but you need to very carefully to pick up them. It's like a needle, you know. It's like. And we can to say in Tibet, in Dharma's idioms, to says the like a characters, nature characters like this become like this, Don't go to knees, maybe damage your finger. And like, this kind of never ever become, if you become the like kind of the spatial sandalwood, and like this, then it's a fantastic, very much, I think it's necessary. But of course we forgot the coffee and tea.